going by won't swerve and hit me. There are some things that we just have to take on trust. And to me, the board that regulates doctors is somebody that I, who represent doctors, trust. You know? I mean, where are the malpractice claims with all these failures? I used to chair malpractice screening panels, and I've heard from Maine Employers Mutual that the rate of malpractice claims has been going down over the last 9 or 10 years. If there are all these failures on the parts of doctors, believe me, I know lots of lawyers who love to listen to the stories of malpractice claims and to take those cases and push them if they evaluate them and find they have merit, or they're likely to have merit.
So, and I don't want to belabor this because we're 10 hours into this public hearing.
And I'll be happy to shut up.
But I guess the thing that makes me wonder, and no one would ever mistake me for a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. I guess it would come back to, I don't remember what the exact number was, $35 billion in claims that have been paid out by this federal vaccine board. 3.5. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I multiplied that by 10 somehow. $3.5 billion. And, I guess I don't know if it's the opinion that it's just like quit bothering us money, or if it's like, hey, something actually happened here as a result of a vaccine injury, and we have a legitimate claim to this. I don't know if the Maine Medical Association has an opinion on that, but I guess part of this is I struggle with is I don't know what the truth of all this is. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trained in all this. On the other hand, I think that's part of the reason why government should stay out of a lot of these decisions, because who are we? But I guess I don't know if that's something you can speak to. It's like why was $3.5 billion paid out in claims then?
Well, the short answer is I don't know. I've never been involved with that particular system. If I might give a little bit longer system, I was talking with a physician recently who treats wrist injuries. And we were talking about something called a repetitive motion injury, which used to be the basis for many workers' comp claims back in the 1980s and 90s when I was doing that kind of work. The science has advanced to the point where that is no longer considered a cause and effect type of situation, that repetitive work causes these types of carpal tunnel syndrome and things like that. So those cases basically were wrong. But based on what we knew at the time, based on the evidence that was presented to us at the time, we decided those cases in the way we did. Things do change, and education and knowledge advance.
Well, Representative Sanderson, then Representative Heinenson.
Thank you. I don't in any way believe that doctors don't care about the patients that they treat in any way. And I think they do care very, very much. But I guess I wonder, when you have such high rates, we look on the bars, and I was looking at the numbers for last year alone, 47,228 vaccine injuries was reported to that website, and they say that's only a small percentage of the actual ones. And then I look at this piece of information from the Maine Adverse Event Reports from 1990 to 2014, and in 24 years, there's nearly 3,000 vaccine adverse events here in Maine reported to ours. And I mean, that's 3,000 Maine individuals. And I guess maybe I'm wondering, and maybe you can tell me, why aren't doctors questioning it more? Why aren't they pushing for more accountability? I mean, because if we had something on our grocery store shelves that was affecting that many people across our nation, you could bet that would be off our shelves so quickly, and that company would be put out of business. And it seems to be a big business issue for a lot of it, but instead we keep growing it, and I'm just really concerned about what we're putting in our children.
One thing you have to remember about those numbers is they're not proven established cases, they're claims.
I understand, but they're claims made by the individuals who were here with their
Yes,
children
yes,
today.
who sincerely
who are
believe in,
living
yes.
this. They are actually living this experience. It's their child who was normal one day,
Yes.
and as Representative Foley said, less than 24 hours later,
Mhm.
they were planning a funeral for their 2-month-old child. That's pretty salty stuff. How can we not really take this incredibly serious and want to do more?
I don't question for a moment wanting to do more. What I think we all have to question is we're reacting to something that is apparent, but not something that's established. And, you know, I lived my life dedicated to proof. And, you know, perhaps that's too high a standard for this committee and the legislature. I don't think so. I think you have to look at those kinds of issues. And those are hard decisions because it requires you to say, just as it used to require me to say, I'm sorry, Ms. Sanderson, you had a horrible injury. Unfortunately, it is not proven to be related to your work, therefore I can't grant you workers' compensation payments. Same thing here. Unless it's proven, how can we just pay without having something established as true?
But doesn't the creation of the vaccine injury fund, over $3 billion, and immunity for pharmaceutical companies, doesn't that lend a little bit of credibility to the fact that maybe his parents are really onto something?
Perhaps.
I would say
And-
yes.
I know, but perhaps not. Perhaps there was a business decision that in exchange for not having to defend these cases all the way along, we'll establish this system that will pay people for certain levels of evidence, and we won't pay people who don't meet those certain levels of evidence. Now, whether that constitutes proof or not is another question.
I can't imagine if there's anybody else who cannot be held legally liable for the life or lifelong injury of another individual from products that they've made. I don't know anybody else who is. Do you?
I'll give you an example. This legislature is protected by sovereign immunity. You're protected from suit.
I'm not practicing medicine or
No, that's true.
injecting medicine into a child's body.
Right, but you're making decisions that affect people's lives every day. The society has made a decision that your work is so valuable and so important to the orderly and safe operation of our society that we will protect you from liability, we will protect you from suit. That's essentially the decision that's been
From
made with
policy?
this fund.
Or product. There's a big difference.
I suppose, what product do I sell to my clients? I sell them policy, I sell them advocacy. I don't sell them an object, I don't sell them a substance.
Representative Heinenson.
Yeah, thanks. We were just talking about the vaccine quarter, you really explained it, but we're trying, we go back to those 4 constructs. We're trying to do good, we can do some harm. Let's not forget the unbelievable good that these vaccines have done to our public health. Because they're not here, we have all the ability in the world to talk about the potential harm that the vaccines did. And I understand, I get the discussion in the room. I've been here for probably, I have to say, longer than anyone else in this room. I've stayed the entire time. So I've heard all of the discussions about what we've talked about today. We are still, I'm going to go back to that. We are trying to do a really good thing in the public health world of ridding ourselves of these terrible diseases. And along the way, we do harm. And we heard some of what I'm sure is harm. But opening up, when you have a trial of a drug and you ask someone to report every symptom that they have, as you said, you can't associate every symptom that somebody has after you take something with the side effect that somebody has, especially at an emerging developmental time. So it's, I think we go back to that. We're trying to do good. We have done really good. Maybe we've done some harm. But don't take away the good that we've done with vaccines.
Thank you.
I think in the work session.
Yes, Representative Dean.
Yeah.
Representative Henderson.
A lot of this conversation for the last 10 minutes seems to be a lot like the work session.
Point taken.
Yeah.
Any additional questions?
Thank you all for your attention so late.
Representative Stuckey. There's always one more from Representative Stuckey.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate that. My question is to you and your colleagues for the work session, if you have suggestions or ideas for addressing the conundrum that I think many of us are struggling with. I would welcome the opportunity to hear them. But that's just a question and an invitation for me. I don't think there's I don't question the motives of anybody in this room today.
Nor do I.
I'm sorry, and I share a lot of the frustration and concern with some of the players in this game. I don't think it's the patients or the doctors who are you're the kind of the pieces in the game, and to the extent that those two groups can take control of the game, I think we'd all be far better off. So I invite you to help us understand how we might move in that direction.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no additional questions, thank you very much.
Thank you all for your patience.
Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to this bill? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak neither for nor against this bill?
For 1 second. I'll break my own rule. Andy's going to testify. Only, don't encourage me, Dad. My name is Andy Parkinson. I live in Monmouth. I am the mother of 3 daughters. My youngest is 17, wondering where I am. 14 years ago, she was diagnosed with autism. We had no family history. She was feral at the time. I don't like to say that, but where she is now, I am so proud of that kid. She changed my life. She changed my family. And I just want to say, I am so blown away by how much respect and compassion and patience all of you have shown today. I have no idea where you're going to go with all of this. I'll be here recording the work session. Thank you all. Thank you so much. This was one of the most difficult days I have ever recorded in the last 4 or 5 years of doing this. And there are so many parents and so many families who couldn't be here. And we saw a cross-section of everyone's lives. I've had extraordinarily good circumstances with our doctors, with our school. My God, I cannot ever say too much good about Monmouth. But what I think the most important thing I'll say on all of this, and then I'll shut up and I'll go home. everyone in this room and everyone who has testified today simply wants to have healthy families. That's all. That's the common ground you start on. So the rest of it, as far as how we get there, what has to happen, that'll come together. You guys will work it out. I've seen you do some incredible stuff. The common ground is everyone wants to do well and do right. And the rest of it are just the details. Thank you all.
Thank you. Seeing no questions. Anyone else here to speak neither for nor against this bill? Seeing none, is there any request for additional information for the work session? Seeing none. And all testimony having been taken, this public hearing on LD 1076 is now closed.